Check, check, testing, testing.
Testing. Good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first of today's Prim Perfect talks at the auditorium. And I'm really glad that so many of you have been able to join us. This show will be going out on YouTube, on SLartist.com, on AView TV. I think it'll be on the Firestorm channel. Is that right, Jess?
Pantera, one of our developers, it'll be on her channel.
Okay, so we're going to go out in a number of ways. This presentation will be in voice, but we'll ask people to respond to us in text chat. We won't be able to hear voice while we're talking, so if you can ask questions and respond to us in text chat, that will be brilliant, and the relays will convey to us.
We'll do our best to follow that, but I expect it'll be a bit tricky.
So
many people.
If we miss your questions, we apologize in advance. Okay, so I'd like to welcome here to the first of today's talks Jessica Lyons, who's the project manager, who's the third-party viewer Firestorm. And I'm Faffia Widdershins. I'm the editor of Prim Perfect, the presenter of Designing Worlds, for those who don't know. And we're here today to talk about the proposed new platform that's being developed by Linden Lab, and also the future of Second Life. And I've asked Jessica to join me. She was actually at that meeting where Ebby Linden actually talked about the new platform. Jess, I was hoping to start by asking you about that. Was it a complete shock when he brought it up?
So much so that anybody who actually watched that video of the third-party viewer meeting, Ebby spoke of, mentioned new platform in almost in a casual way. And I think it took a little while for it to really sink into all of our minds of that he's actually talking about a new platform, like a new platform. And so for the first 10 minutes after he mentioned it, questions just sort of kept on going. And then I think during that time it was starting to sink in a little bit. Did he really say that? New platform? What does he mean by that? and Latif asked, if it was high fidelity. And of course he responded with, no. And that's when it really sunk in that he really did actually say a new platform. And so it was a pretty big bomb to drop on everybody.
The next generation platform, of course. Yeah. So various things were said at the meeting which perhaps haven't come over to the community. I was very interested to find the context in which he was talking about it. He was talking about the idea, the possibility of reviving the community gateways to help new users and build on retention and Second Life, and how they're doing new user testing with live mentors and all that sort of thing, which doesn't sound like they're closing the doors on Second Life yet.
No, I think people have really, and we'll touch on that in a minute, but I think people have really taken away what actually hasn't been said, and they're imagining that this is what was said. Oh my gosh, Second Life is going to die. Nothing like that. It's nothing like that. Linden Lab wants to make a new platform that will make you want to go to it. They're not going to force you. They've not said that they're going to force you, but a lot of people are. There's a lot of overreaction going on, and a lot of speculation that's based on fear and uncertainty. Obviously, there's going to be uncertainty. You have to expect there's going to be uncertainty. I have uncertainty, and my first reaction when I asked about open source, is it going to be open source? And initially, at least initially, he said that it won't be, and in fact, he seemed to suggest that it won't be, the code won't be open source, but that they're looking at other ways open source developers will be able to contribute. So in other words, probably not. We're not going to be able to contribute code-wise, but that they're not shutting out open source altogether, or at least the idea that we'll be able to help out. I think it's really important that people, I made a blog post and I pointed out just the facts that we do know. And those are based purely on the statements that he made. Because there's a lot more that we don't know, and there seems to be a lot more that they don't know, and there's a lot of answers that they don't have. And people are understandably anxious about what all this means. But at no point did they say they're shutting down Second Life. And so, people are reading the fact. I find it fascinating. There should be some study somewhere done that explores how, the psychology of people who will read a block of text and take from it either what they want to take from it or what they fear most from it, but don't actually take from it what's actually said. And the blog post I did, I tried to make it as factual as possible. You should have some uncertainty. You should be a little bit concerned, but you should not be panicking.
It reminds me of a story we used to talk about when I was doing communication studies, of a radio broadcast of a history program. I'm not sure who put it out, but it was a history program aimed at children in schools, and it started with a very dramatic description of how they treated witches in a seaside town. Essentially, they would chain them to a post below the tide line and then just walk away and leave the water to come up, and for the witches, the supposed witches, eventually to drown. And at the end of and then there was the rest of the broadcast after this story, all filled with really good, interesting information. And they did a quiz then to find out how much of it the children had absorbed. And they were so kind of fixated on the image of the drowning woman chained to the post that they had basically missed out on all the rest of the information that was put into the show. And in a way, I feel that sometimes people in Second Life can be a bit like that they grab the headline and they ignore paragraph 2.
And so the headline, and the headline in this case is that people are coming out of the whole thing with, not the real headline. The headline that's popping into people's minds is, "Oh my gosh, Second Life is doomed," and I posed the message of the day. And I did it in such a way I wanted to get people's attention, because it's very important that people know that this is happening. So I want the news to be out there. I also wanted to get as much attention as I could get, because we want to keep Second Life alive. And it's really important now more than ever that people come together, give us ideas, give Linden Lab your ideas of what you think can make Second Life better. Not the new platform, I'm talking about Second Life right now. And so in the message of the day, I posed a question: is Second Life doomed? And then I answered it with, not if you can help it, or not if you have something to do with it, or something like that anyways. But people took that as though I said Second Life is doomed. And I think that's fascinating. Although it certainly achieved, the goal of getting people's attention, it might have set off the wrong impression, just because people get the wrong impression. If you look at the blog comments, and thank you for all of you who have commented. I think we're approaching 600 comments now. Some of you have some good ideas in there. Unfortunately, most of what's being said in there is panic and bad reaction. I want to talk about your reactions in a minute.
First of all, are there any other any other points that you feel we should take away from the meeting? And I've just given the address of Jessica's blog post for you to look at. Here is the address of the full developers meeting on YouTube. Let me just shout that rather than just typing it. Or rather shout it rather than just whispering it.
Control. There you go.
I'm shouting now. And I also have in Arapa's blog post, which was a very kind of good summary.
Anara is very good at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I should also mention, I forgot to mention this right from the start. Anything I say today are the opinions of me and do not necessarily reflect that of the project. This isn't the project talking, it's just me.
No, I can't find Anara. Anara's blog is here, and she's got some very good posts on the subject. So I'm just
Well, actually, if they go to the Firestorm blog post, I linked to 2 of her posts at the bottom as well.
Stop whispering, woman.
Control.
Control, not shift. Okay. So can I ask you a bit about the response that you've been having? You mentioned that. Oh, hang on. First of all, is there anything else that did come out of the developers meeting that you would like to share?
Well, we're, to think that we're not concerned, to think that I'm not concerned about the possible future would be a bit silly. Some people might be surprised by my reaction to all of this. At first, there was like, oh my gosh, what's going to be left for us being open source developers, open source people? What's going to be there for us? How are we going to continue to improve the user experience, which is what we do? That's a concern for me. But you don't see me saying, okay, we're going to pack up Firestorm. We're going to shut it down because, Second Life is going to die anyway. So what's the point in developing any further? I'm not going to do that. But I'm seeing a lot of people having that type of reaction. And so one of the main things that came out of this is that they're not going to shut Second Life down. They don't want to shut Second Life down. They want to create a successor to Second Life that will be so good that you all will want to get rid of all your stuff and start from scratch and start over. They're going to they want to make a platform that you will want willingly to walk over to and get into the new system. And I'll talk a little bit about the whole idea behind shutting down Second Life and how that makes absolutely no business sense for Linden Lab. Certainly not in the next couple of years anyways.
Well, I would say longer than that. It will certainly take at least 3, possibly as long as 5 years to establish.
So I'll talk about year 2.
Yeah.
So some of the reaction I'm seeing, and I saw it on SLU. I'm seeing it, and I even saw it from some of the developers at the third-party viewer meeting in the aftermath of the whole thing. Folks are saying, oh, I'm going to stop buying things. I'm going to stop making content. I'm going to stop selling in protest of Linden Lab shutting down Second Life. And there's a real lesson to be learned here. If you're doing that, then you are becoming the architect of your own demise. Really, because Abby said clearly, and I absolutely believe it because it only makes business sense. Second Life will continue so long as it's profitable for Linden Lab. And if you guys as content creators suddenly decide you're just going to pack up because, what's the point? So here's some real life examples. I'm not going to bother buying the next pair of shoes because what's the point in buying another pair of shoes if I'm only going to wear them down anyways? So I'm just going to go barefoot. Doesn't make sense. Work. I'm not going to go to work. What's the sense in me going to work tomorrow? Because I'm only going to retire at some point in my life anyways. So why should I even bother going to work? It's ridiculous, right? Food is another example. What's the point of spending money on food when I'm only going to eat it and have nothing left to show for it later anyways? There's no point in buying food. It's ridiculous, right? So put it into perspective for those of you who are of the mindset that, I'm just going to, there's no point buying anything anymore because I'm just going to lose it. It just doesn't make sense. Live in the moment, guys, really live in the moment. You're going to die at some point. We are all going to die at some point, but it doesn't make you stop wanting to live. So for people who are going around saying that they're going to stop investing in Second Life, first of all, you're angry because you're afraid of losing Second Life, and yet you're the one that's going to cause it. You're participating in the demise of Second Life. So if you want Second Life to survive, now is the time to, more than ever, now is the time to start spending money. Now is the time to enjoy Second Life as much as you can.
Yeah, and keep it going and keep
Keep
it
it going.
strong.
Yeah, Linden Lab's going to keep it going. As long as it's making money, Linden Lab is going to keep it going. It,
And in fact, at the moment, of course, it's Linden Labs' primary source of income,
exactly.
and
It's
it
their
will be
pretty much their
for
only
at
right now.
least the next 5 years and
Yeah.
possibly the next 10 years. If you think about how long it took for Second Life to kind of go into profit and hype mode, it started in as a gleam in the eye in 1999. It launched in 2003. It came out of beta in 2003. And it was 2006, really, before it took
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So we're looking probably realistically at 2020 before any successor could financially replace. Would you say?
So, well, it's hard to say. I mean, completely unpredictable because we don't even know if the new platform will succeed. So, I mean, we can go by best and worst case scenarios. But I'm just watching local chat as well, and people have the point. What's the point in me spending 10,000 Linden now if I'm only going to lose it anyways? How much of your inventory do you know what's in it right now? You bought something a year ago. Do you know what it was? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm trying to take both sides on this, but don't get me wrong. I've got 72,000 items in my inventory, and I totally hear what you guys are saying. I really do, but I'm just trying to come at you as devil's advocate. I've got 72,000 items in my inventory. I don't know what 5% of it is. I can't remember what 5% of it is. And I'll tell you something else that gets me that I've been seeing a lot of. People are creating accounts at InWorlds and OpenSim. And I just want to touch on the irony of that. Okay, if you're one of those people, I'm talking to you. You're going to a new grid to start over with nothing, so you can avoid going to a new grid and starting over with nothing, when in fact you may not ever have to go anywhere at all. Guys, does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. We've got years and years and years still in Second Life, as long as Second Life is profitable to Linden Lab. And let me give you one other reason. I'll give you one other reason to keep spending money. Okay, here's one more reason to keep spending $10,000 or Lindens a year. How confident are you? How confident are you that Linden Lab is going to be able to succeed with a new platform? They're going to succeed at drawing all the users out of Second Life. They're going to succeed at losing all your people being willing to give up all their stuff to leave Second Life to go to the new platform. How confident are you that they're going to succeed in that? If you're really confident, then I can understand you not wanting to spend money in Second Life. But if you have doubts that Linden Lab will be able to do that, especially without community feedback in the process of developing this new platform, if you have any question or doubt that Linden Lab will succeed, then keep spending money, because Second Life will certainly continue.
The interesting thing is that no other platform in the 11 years that Second Life has been going, no other platform operating in the same way has succeeded.
Yeah.
Cloud Party, Blue Mars came and went, but Second Life carries on. This platform is very durable.
How many of you still think Linden Lab is going to shut down Second Life? I'm going to pose a hypothetical question for you if you're one of those people. Let's say you're a business owner, and Joe, yeah, of course, obviously, eventually it's going to happen, but let's say you're a business owner and you have a product that all your customers are using, and it is your bread and butter. It's your primary income. It's where all your money comes from. And then you have this idea of how to make the product better. It's easier to start over than to try to fix the existing product that you have, because probably what your idea entails, if you were to try to apply that to your existing product, you would break the product because it's so innovative. So you've got this new idea of this new product that you want to create that you're pretty sure your customers are going to want to switch to. Okay, so you start developing that product. Are you really, as a business owner, going to then force those customers over to that new product and gamble that they might like it? Or would you probably leave the two of them running together? My point being, from a business point of view, and Linden Lab is a business, and Ebby is actually a very smart businessman, it makes zero sense to consider shutting down Second Life. As long as there's income coming from it, Second Life will continue going. As long as you guys are in Second Life spending money, enjoying Second Life, Second Life will continue, because otherwise they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Let's move on to your blog post and your ideas about it, Jess.
Well, some people criticize me for creating panic. Perhaps the people who didn't properly read it, panicked. And a lot of people are panicking. I had some people say that what I should do is tell everybody that everything will be okay and not to worry. That nothing is changing. In other words, more or less, lie. I can't say everything's going to be okay, and I can't say everything's not going to be okay. We don't know. There is a certain amount of uncertainty going on for all of us. But the main thing is it's years away, guys. It's years away. The most important thing is that people are informed of what's going on. You have to know what's coming, right? If I think it would be irresponsible for us to not inform the community of what's happening, and then a year from now, 2 years from now, suddenly, boom, there's a new platform and nobody knew anything about it. And we say, oh, well, we knew, but we didn't want to panic anyone. That's going to come back on us for being irresponsible. Our job is to improve the user experience. And one of the ways we do that is by keeping people informed as best that we can. We champion for the users. We work with Linden Lab to do as much as we can to keeping what you guys need and want in mind. And I think it's of utmost importance that you know what's going on, but also that you understand it. And that's why we're doing this, because so many people seem to be misunderstanding what's happening. So doing outreach now, trying to calm people down.
It does make sense. And also, I mean, I can see a very plausible reason why this is coming out now. There has started to be talk about the new platform, very vague, speculative talk for the most part, in the technical media press. There's been a couple of interviews. I think probably Linden Lab and Ebby were doing the rounds for Second Life's 11th birthday. And in the past, there have been sort of sighs that Linden Lab have made announcements, and the first the residents hear about them is when they're blindsided by something in the real world press. This time, it was shared with residents, and it's then been discussed on the forums. And Ebby's popped up on the Second Life forums and the SL Universe forums to discuss this. So there's much more openness and much more attempt to get the word out.
One of the things that I love about Ebby is, for the first time ever, we have a CEO, not ever, the first time since Philip, we have a CEO who is open and communicative with the community. In fact, one of his first things that he did was reverse the policy that Lindens weren't allowed to socialize with residents under the Linden accounts. It's one of the first things he did when he came in. Do I think so? I applaud him for being open. It's long overdue, and being open is one of the reasons Firestorm is as popular it is because we've been open with the community. He seems to get that, and I think that's fantastic. I think he might have made a slight error in, and I believe he slipped the news. I think it was a spur of the moment thing. We had asked him about if Linden Lab was going to be communicating more with the press to get press releases to, attract more people. And I think he sort of slipped and said, yeah, I have been talking to the press about this new platform. And then once he said it, I think he's not the type of guy to backtrack. And he just figured, I'll just go with it. Do I think it was a mistake? No. Do I think he shouldn't have said it at the time that he did? Probably, yeah. I think it could have been better timed. It probably could have been better prepared. And it's one of the few times ever that I would say that, because I'm always fighting for Linden Lab to be more open and transparent with things that they're doing. But in this case, it's so far away. They make sort of slipped it out. The news gets out, but they don't have any actual answers that they can provide because they're so early in the stages of it that. So to slip that kind of news, you have to expect for sure there's going to be a mad rush of people wanting to know all these questions, and then them not being able to answer those questions. You have to. It's predictable to know how that's going to end up with the user base feeling like they're being lied to, even though that's not the case.
I think there's a lot of unknowns at the moment, aren't there, for Linden Lab as well as for us?
The thing is, what is known is that Second Life still has many good years behind it. And in fact, if it remains profitable, the two platforms could go forever together in parallel. I mean, if you have two products, would you rather have one product making revenue or two products making you double the revenue? You're going to keep both products. It's just business sense. It's not even opinion. It's just business sense.
No one is taking away inventory. The inventory will still be here in Second Life and Second Life continuing.
Right.
But you will gradually be replacing it if you go over to the new platform, just as you gradually replace your Second Life inventory while you're here. I mean, I have things that I bought and loved in 2008, which are never coming out of my inventory again. Things change over time.
Most of my inventory is like that.
Yeah, I've never been one of those people who said I will never wear anything but mesh again. But even so, I mostly wear mesh, and I don't wear system clothes.
So we have to. So I guess we can speculate a little bit on the platform, on the new platform. And I say speculate because we don't have the answers. I have my opinions and what I believe. And I just want to point out one more thing, though. Anybody here, I think all of you, nobody can argue that Second Life has sort of stagnated in the last, couple of years. I mean, Linden Labs been doing some great things. They've improved avatar appearance like crazy. They've improved network. They've done some really good stuff. But there's been no massive innovations in the last couple of years. Nothing really big. There's nothing attracting whole hordes of new people. But that's not to say that virtual worlds are stagnating. It means that, to me, it means that something needs to happen. Somebody out there is going to come up with a new virtual world. Somebody out there is going to come up with a new platform to supersede Second Life. And while I don't have a lot of faith in Linden Lab, I would certainly prefer it be Linden Lab than Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, or Flickr or Yahoo or God knows who. I would certainly prefer to be Linden Lab because they at least know us and what's important to us better than anybody else does. So I'm happy actually. I'm sort of excited, and I'm really hopeful that Linden Lab can succeed in making me want to leave Second Life and go to the new platform. I really hope that they can do that. I don't think they can, personally. I'll give you my reasoning why I don't have much confidence in that at the end of this. But I hope that they do. I'm rooting for Linden Lab to do it. I really am. I'd rather it come from Linden Lab than anyone else. So there's concern about, is Linden Lab going to let me create my name, or is there going to be like another Jessica Lyons is going to beat me to it, and then I won't be me anymore on the new platform. Really, really, guys, Linden Lab at least understands us enough to know how important it is that we keep and maintain our legacy identification. I don't know this for a fact, but I think it's pretty safe to say that, in fact, I would bet money, and I don't bet much, but I would bet money that Linden Lab will make it so that you can immigrate your account names and your Linden balances. I would be shocked if they didn't allow that. Did Ebby actually say that? So there you go. I must have missed that. So it brings us back to inventory again. Why should you spend money if you can't take it over with you? So you got to understand the goals that Linden Lab have with the new platform is to, first of all, they want to focus on content creators, which means that they want to make, they're probably going to give really cool, powerful tools for making fabulous content, like way more better than what we have in Second Life. And what can be done in Second Life. Probably it's going to be mesh based. And in fact, I would wager that the new platform entirely will be mesh based, and that's probably why you can't bring you won't be able to bring your prims over to Second Life. Textures, that's a given, right? Textures are pretty universal. Prims. So if I was going to create a new platform, considering my existing product is 11 years old and has content that was made back in 2003 that is just frankly wretchedly horrible. And I know that people are going to, if I make it backwards compatible, I know people are going to carry that content into Second Life, and suddenly my new product is going to be contaminated with hair that's 250 prims with 2 scripts in every prim, and high resolution textures, different high resolution textures on every prim, and crashes everybody around them every time that's seen. I don't want that on my new product. Especially when I'm giving and creating a new system, a new way of creating new content that's even better, even more realistic. So I'm of two minds on this. On the one hand, I'm with you guys. There's a lot of stuff in my inventory that's going to suck that I won't be able to carry with me. I won't have my tail from 2006 and my ears from 2007. I won't be able to bring that into the new platform, and that's going to suck because that's sort of my that's my ID. On the other hand, they're going to give me tools to make even better tail and ears, so I can think about that. So I totally hear you guys' point. I'm just trying to be devil's advocate and point out some of the reasons why Linden Lab wouldn't want to be focused on allowing backwards compatibility. And I'll add that if you listen closely to that recording of Ebby, he didn't say that he's not allowing content to be transferred indefinitely and definitely. He didn't say, without a doubt, we're definitely not going to allow people to transfer content. He said, and I'll paraphrase because I don't know the exact, I can't remember the exact words, but he said along the lines that at the moment we're not concerning ourselves with backwards compatibility, and we may consider providing, because they understand there is some content that is worth being transferred, they may consider providing an import-export system that would allow some content to come over into the new platform. They haven't decided how they would do that yet, and that would take quite a bit of thinking, because you've got to figure out protocols, what's going to constitute good content and what constitutes bad content. How is that going to be judged? Is it going to be based on numbers through database, or is it going to have to be done with, physical eyes and human interaction with that object? Is there going to have to be a Linden to res it and look at it and see if it's made well enough to qualify for the new platform? How are they going to do that? So we don't know. Neither do they. But he did say that it's not a solid yes, no. It's just right now, that's kind of what they're looking at, is not allowing content to be transferred.
I had a chat. I did a talk last night with Callie Klein of Kitty Cats, and we touched briefly on this very subject. And, I have total respect for the creativity of Second Life designers. Kitty Cats has one system in place that could make it very easy, for example, to transfer your kitty cats to another virtual world. They have a database where all their content is backed up. So that, and the cattery where you can put your cats on the web out of world using their database system. It would presumably, and Callie was very careful not to give a definite answer on this one, but it would presumably be perfectly possible for you to take your Second Life cat, put it in the cattery, and then download the Second Life Next Generation cat in the new world.
And it's just a matter of scripting, because they did mention a new there is going to be a new scripting language. There's been speculation that it might be C# based on mono or something along those. We don't actually know. And Maddie, of course, we're guessing. That's why we're calling this speculation. We're guessing.
We are guessing.
We're offering you our educated guesses, and we're educated in these things. We know Linden Lab pretty well. The thing is, like, the chat is going by so quickly, and I still see a lot of angry people about not being able to transfer your content. Guys, don't dwell on that, because you don't need to transfer your content if Second Life remains, right? If you don't want to use the new platform, don't. You'll still have Second Life. As long as we keep Second Life profitable, we'll still have Second Life. And so there's a lot of people that are really angry that they can't, transfer their content. Maddie says they'll force us. I don't think they will, Maddie. I think, and I'll tell you why I don't think they will. Because I think if Linden Lab forced us into a platform we don't want to be on, they will not have their customers and they will go bankrupt, and that will be it for Linden Lab. Period. That's not even speculating. That's a guaranteed. That's what's going to happen if they try to force us onto a platform we don't want to be on, because there are alternatives. There is OpenSim. There is InWorlds. They can't force us. Forcing us would be corporate suicide. So no, Linden Lab's not going to force you to switch to the new platform. Maybe eventually, if and when the new platform is hugely successful and the amount of people that are still in Second Life is very small, maybe then they'll shut down Second Life. And you could say then they're forcing you to the new platform. Actually, they're not forcing you on the new platform. They're just they're just shutting down one of their products. But we're talking years and years and years and years from now. I can guarantee you, I'll put my word on it. Linden Lab will not force you to go to a platform you don't want to go to, because that would be corporate suicide no matter how you look at it.
They can't force you to a new platform. They can force you to leave Second Life, but
right.
They're not going to do that while they are making money on it.
Exactly, right. So like she said, Maddie, as long as Second Life is profitable, it makes no sense for them to shut it down.
Now, what I want to do is move on to talking about the future of Second Life and Second Life continuing and what we can do. I'm going to start off by saying that there was one thing in the chat that worried me a little, and that was when Ebbe said that Second Life will continue, that Oz is now in charge with a small team. That worried me. Not Oz. I think Oz is great, and I think he's done some fantastic work. But the small team. One of the questions
I posed Ebbe, when it sunk in that they're developing a new platform, one of the first things that came to mind is, okay, where are you putting your resources? Are you taking them out of Second Life? And I asked him that question, and he said a bit of both. Basically, they've taken a lot of staff from Linden and put into this new platform, and they're also hiring a whole bunch of new people. And it was just in the news the other day, 40 to 50 new positions have been opened up, and Linden Lab is hiring. So that concerned me a lot too, and it still does. I won't lie, I'm pretty worried about that. I have a lot of faith in Oz, because I know that he is to the core, a firm supporter of open source. And I know that he's been in SL long enough and worked close enough with residents to have a fairly good understanding of Second Life and the platform and what it means to us as residents. And I also know that Oz cares. There's a lot of people say, "Oh, Oz doesn't care. Linden Lab doesn't care." Well, I know Oz does care. He doesn't do it for the paycheck, of course. He likes the paycheck too, but he does this because he believes in Second Life. From what I understand, Oz actually fought for the position that of being in charge of the small team who keeps Second Life going, because he is a firm believer that he can do it, and he's a firm believer that Second Life has a good future. Um, and he just believes in Second Life. He wants to. I think. I'm just saying. Hypothetically, this is my opinion. I think he wants to prove to all the others at Linden Lab that Second Life is still absolutely viable going into the future. And I believe he believes that, and I believe he's right too. Um, so we have a Q&A coming up. I invited Oz Linden and Pete Linden, who's the communications director at Linden Lab, to join us at a Firestorm Q&A, which will take place early Wednesday. We'll put it up on our blog later tomorrow. And they want to talk about some of the things that they have planned for Second Life. Let me tell you something. Linden Lab still has a roadmap for Second Life. They still have a list of things that they want to do. I'll tell you another thing. The blog post that I made was asking residents for your thoughts on what one thing could improve Second Life. And the reason we say one thing is because I know there's a billion users, and if everybody has and although it was pointless for me to say that everybody had a million ideas, the reason why I did that is because Oz wants to get some ideas. What can we do next? What else can we do for Second Life? What can we do more? How can we continue to improve Second Life? I can give you my word that Oz and the small team that he has are going to work their butts off to keep Second Life going. And it's more than just maintaining Second Life. He assures me it's not just maintaining it. They want to continue to develop and continue to improve Second Life. So if that's not telling you something, as far as the future of Second Life, that's telling me that, okay, Linden Lab is working on a new product. They need, obviously, resources to work on this new product because it's being built from the ground up. And they're leaving a small group of people, I don't know how many people, but a small group of developers and coders to work on Second Life. It tells me that they don't intend to shut down Second Life.
One of the things that is true of the new platform is that it is going to be closed source rather than open source, I believe. And that's probably going to be a bit of a problem for you, isn't it?
Just a little bit. I might be sitting here sounding like I'm defending Linden Lab, and in some ways I am. Actually, my goal here is to reassure you guys that Second Life has a future. If we come out of this with anything, I hope that you guys understand that Second Life is still alive and strong as it was before the announcement. Everything's still good. The new platform is not going to be open source. There's going to be no room for us there. So long as Second Life continues, we're good. Firestorm will continue, and we'll continue to improve the user experience in Second Life where we still have control or some control of what goes on here. We won't have open source on the new platform. That's a shame. That's one of the reasons I have very little confidence that it will succeed. I'll touch base on that a bit later. So yeah, that's disappointing, and that's one of those areas where I'm gonna be upset about. But I'm not gonna say, oh, what's the point? I'm gonna throw up my arms and give up, because we still have Second Life.
I wanted just to briefly reference that there are ongoing discussions and TV discussions on this. Obviously, there are lots of blogs and so forth going. But Jessica, as you said, you've got a question and answer session with Pete and Ebbe Linden at 7 a.m. on
Pete and Oz, not Ebbe. Wish I had Ebbe.
Pete and Vance.
Oz.
Pete and Oz Linden.
Yeah.
And they're going to be on at the Firestorm question time, Wednesday, 7 a.m. We're going to be recording a Designing World show on this topic at between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Wednesday, that's the 2nd of July. This Sunday, which is the, what is it? This Sunday is the 29th of July, the day that actually SL11B's community celebration closes. Meta World Broadcasting will be doing their regular Metaverse Weekend Review, and they will be discussing the issue too. That's Mal Byrne's show.
There's going to be a lot of coverage of this over the next while. I've been inundated with interview requests and things. I want to say one more thing about the open source thing. I just want to point out to people, Second Life didn't start out being open source. Second Life was around for a couple of years, a good couple of years. I don't remember exactly. I think it was 2004, 5. I'm not even sure. Somebody's going to tell me. Before 2006, 2005, 2006. Anyway, Second Life was around for quite some time before it was open source, guys. And if I were developing a platform like Second Life, I wouldn't and you guys know I'm all about open source. I wouldn't open source it initially either. I would wait until it is established, until I've gotten my developers through their roadmap, through the planning stages, and we have something that's established and ready, and then I would open source it. Then I would make it, then I would say, okay, here's what we have for you guys, open source developers. Here's what we have for you. What do you think? What are your ideas? How do you think you can make this better? Here's the code. What do you think about this? But to make it open source right from the start would be a huge complication to trying to develop it and bring it to fruition, even just initially. So I'm not surprised that it's not open source initially. I'm disappointed that it came across, at least at that meeting with Ebby, it came across as though the intent is to not open source it, the code, period, but rather to find other ways that we can contribute to the platform. So that's disappointing. But I just want to make the point that Second Life wasn't open source to begin with either. It became open source, and I think that made a huge difference for Second Life. And in fact, if you think about it, 2006, 7, 8, the best years for Second Life, and that was a couple years, that were the years that it just went open source. And that's when we saw big innovations from third-party viewers.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things, when we were talking earlier, Jess, you said that you have some advice for the lab moving forward.
I have some advice for Linden Lab. Ebby, this is for you. And any other Linden out there who might be listening or watching the recording of this later, this is for you. It's no secret Firestorm has the majority of the user base. I at last look, I think it was around 70%. And I ask you, do you think it's because Firestorm is the easiest viewer to use? No, come on. There's not a single person in this audience, I think, who is sane enough to say that Firestorm is easy to use. I can't find half the preferences there. It's just a mess. It's a very complicated viewer to use. And yet we have 70-some% user share on the viewer. Could it be because we have the best graphics? No, because we don't. Our graphics are the same as anybody else's. Could it be because it's faster than any other viewer? Oh, hell no. Firestorm is slow. It's like a big RV motorhome chugging away down the road. It's got all the cool stuff in it, but that's not what makes Firestorm popular. I'm going to offer you the secret to why Firestorm is so popular. It's actually got little to do with the viewer. The viewer is actually a byproduct of what made what we do so popular. From the very beginning, we were open with the community. We were transparent with the community. We reach out to the community. We do regular meetings with the community. We involve the community in what we're doing. We ask the community, what do you think of this? We ask the community, give us some ideas. We ask the community to join us at meetings. We sit after the meetings and we talk. And Ebby has been doing this kind of thing. I'm right impressed with that. but that's only just started. We've been doing this since the beginning.
Mm.
And I'll tell you what that does is that creates for the user a sense of ownership. It creates for the user a sense of community, a sense of entitlement, which can be a pro and a con for us, but a sense of entitlement to the viewer. But it makes people feel happy and proud of the viewer. Hey, I had an idea, and Firestorm Project made it happen. Hey, you see this feature in this viewer? Firestorm did it. That was my idea. Um, Firestorm is popular because we've created pride and a following in what we do, not necessarily because of the viewer itself, but how we treat people.
Mm.
Because we're right up there, we're right in there with all of you guys. In some ways, we have the advantage of that we're also residents too, and Linden
Mm.
Lab will never have that advantage. But um, I wish they would. Maybe they'd understand things a little bit better. Uh,
I would
Fire,
actually, sorry, I would actually say that one of your core strengths is your dedication to support. That
oh,
you,
that's another thing. Yeah,
yeah.
getting there. Live support. We're out here all the time. We have live support groups. We have made big efforts in providing live support in different languages. Linden Lab, you guys had it before. You guys had live help before, and you killed it. Ebby, that was before your time, but you had it and you killed it,
Mm.
and it was really valuable. You guys had the mentor program. You had residents helping residents, and that was huge. You don't have that now. Um, we do. Firestorm's not 70% user share because the viewer is the best viewer out there. It's far from it. We have the user share we have because we involve the community in everything we do. Linden Lab has not done that, especially in the last many years, way too many years. And here's my concern about your new platform that you're developing. I applaud you for doing it. I applaud you for taking on that task. And I truly hope you succeed in it. But I have to tell you, I have zero confidence. And the reason I have zero confidence that you're going to succeed in the new platform is because you've planned it without the community feedback, without content creator feedback, without user feedback, without third-party viewer and open source developer feedback. You've developed it guessing what you think was best. And I understand you're making this platform based on learning from your past mistakes. One of the past mistakes, one of the biggest ones you guys have made was Viewer 2.0. And that mistake happened because you developed it in private without community feedback, without content creator feedback, without open source develop. You developed it in secret and it failed. You're doing it again right now with this new platform. I'm really proud that Linden Lab is taking on this task, but I have zero confidence that you'll succeed because you haven't included the community in its development.
I have a question, really, which unfortunately no one here can answer because this is a question for the lab. They're taking on, you're taking on 40 to 50 new people to work on this new platform and develop this new platform. How many of those people are there for community engagement and to develop the community side of things?
I'd love to know that. I'd love to know.
Because that is going to be crucial. It's no use bringing them in at the last minute and then expecting the poor sods to try and patch up a community out of nothing. You need the community people in.
And the other thing is that the most important stage of including your community in its developing is the planning. That's the most important time to have the community because once, and Linden Lab knows this, coders know this. As soon as you start putting code on paper, it becomes harder to change. Things are a lot more flexible when it's still just drawn out on paper with ideas and stuff. And you can have open source devs, have content creators, have people come in and say, hey, this is neat, but maybe you should do this. And we know this because we use Second Life every day, and we all use it for different ways and in different ways. And you know, Linden Lab doesn't, and it's no fault of their own, but their employer, this is their job. For us, we live here, and so there's no way that they can fully understand what it is that attracts us to Second Life. I hope that they have, this magic idea that's going to make this new platform work. But without including us in it, I have no confidence in it. And so because of that, I have really very little worry about Second Life going anywhere.
Jessica Lyon, I think that's probably a very good note to end on. So I'm going to say thank you very much for coming here today and talking to us all.
I thank everybody for being here. Guys, please don't panic. Really, don't panic. Keep calm, carry on. Second Life will continue. Keep spending money. Do as you always do. Second Life is here for years to come. Trust me. I haven't done you wrong yet.